After the cute stuff that is animals, right? Well, how do you follow that? Well, I tell you what, you go to the other end of the spectrum and you go 40k and we talk about Chaos Gate Daemonhunters. And welcome back, Paul.
Hello.
The man that shares the same barber as me. We are here today to talk about the wonderful Warhammer 40,000 Chaos Gate Daemonhunters.
Which is a very short thing to say.
It's a very small title. So this is also coming to consoles. And this is one, again, when we were doing the initial launch for this on PC, it was often the most asked question we had was, please, can you bring it to console?
Just a few times mentioned, only occasionally, not every single social post.
No, but it is coming to console, which is fantastic, and it's available to pre-order right now. So it's available on February the
20th.
So it's 20 days' time. So we are pretty close for this being available in your hands. It's coming to Xbox Series S and X. It's coming to PS5. It's coming to PS4, and it's coming to Xbox One.
Yes.
I think that's everything said, and I think I've got that roughly about right in the right order. Now, you can pre-order it. If you pre-order it now, you get a 15% discount, but you also get access to some really cool stuff. That you get let me get the names right here, Paul, because I am terrible with names. I'm cheating, right, chat? I'm going to cheat. So you get the Relics of Titan. That bit's easy. It's this bit that I struggle with. It's the Domina Libra Demonica. And you also get the Destroyer of Chrysalix, which is this the easier one. Domina Libra. That's it. I've already got it wrong. You'll get those. You'll get those items free. You can also purchase the Purify edition, where you get the Castellan Crow comes with
Castellan Garan Crow.
Garan Crow, yeah,
wonderful black sword of thingy.
Antwer, yeah. The Black Sword of Antwer. He's a really cool character, and actually that sword is a sword that is possessed by a demon, and only he can hold that sword. And it's a really, really cool. He's a really cool character, of which you'll meet several of in the game. But that's also available to pre-order right now. So if you are interested in Chaos Gate, you can. Now, we are going to actually play through the game, because the game is pretty much ready to go, right? So we are going to be playing through a mission. Paul's probably going to terrify me, because Paul does this on a mission when we play through. And we're going to talk about how this game plays and how it might be familiar to some people that are used to turn-based strategy games, but how it also differs and is unique. Yeah. So we're going to be playing through an actual mission. So Paul, you're going to get started. We can talk through some of this stuff here. The squad's ready to go. We've got some gameplay. I think producer Adam is there going to flick it up. There we go. There's our squad.
Our starting lineup. We've got all four of the basic initial classes you can get. So we have our Justicar, which is our heavy hitter tank, our Purgator, which is our ranged specialist, an Interceptor, which is our Zippy Boy. It's the only way I can really describe
Zippy Boy.
them.
Yep.
Zippy Boy. I think that is the best way to describe them. And we have our Apothecary, who is our healing friend.
Now, when you say healing friend, for those of you looking at the Apothecary, on his arm there is a rather large
Narcisium.
Yes, and it looks really painful. But in fact, is the way he hurts. He hurts the enemy and helps his friends.
He drills into their chest to make them feel better. Basically what he does.
There we go. Welcome to 40k, everyone. If you're not familiar with the setting, nothing is friendly, everything is painful. But welcome. So this is your squad. So we're going to jump straight into a mission. Just as we go in, this is a turn-based strategy game, and you can. There's a lot to this. So this is one element of it. Obviously, you have the Baleful Edict, which is your ship. I'll give an overview whilst you load in, Paul. So basically, the premise behind this is, for those who understand the lore, there is the nefarious forces of Nurgle are infecting a sector of the Imperium with a plague called the Bloom. Now, this is the forces of Nurgle are led by a demon Primarch called Mortarion. Mortarion was the Primarch of the Death Guard. And so Nurgle is kind of like all about rot and decay. So this bloom is spreading throughout this sector, and of course our job as the Grey Knights is to stop it. And the Grey Knights are a sort of specialist chapter within the Imperium, chapter 666 no less, and they are specifically designed to hunt demons, hence the name Daemonhunters. And you are a force commander looking after a squad who had just returned from a particularly rough mission, and where you're sort of joined by an Inquisitor and asked to assist in investigating the Bloom. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this game, and we're showing you one element of it. So whilst Paul sort of will go through this and how you move around in a second, and there are other elements in the game which we'll talk to in a moment. But first off, it looks great. This is it running on, we're playing on PS5, right?
5, yeah.
Yeah, this is the actual PS5 gameplay. Paul, talk us through what you're going to do. Please don't terrify me like you do every time you play this game, and just play it safe.
I refuse. So we're playing essentially the first mission after the tutorial. We've landed on the planet Koramar, which is our first attempt to investigate signs of corruption. So Bakir has turned up and gone, hey, sort out this thing.
That's exact dialogue, by the way.
Exact dialogue, totally to the script. So how it plays out is each of your Grey Knights has what's called action points, and you get 3 of them. And those are used up in a number of ways. They include moving, they include performing abilities, or they include shooting a cultist repeatedly in the forehead until it dies.
Yep.
So you can see on the screen here, there's a little number 2 where I'm currently. That's indicating that once I've moved, I would still have 2 points remaining. But I'm quite far away from the enemy, so
here we go, chat. Here we go. Look, he's going to do it again, and I'm
going to go all the way over here. Now you can see there's a little shield has appeared here.
Yep.
That means that I've got an element of cover. So cover does play into this. It will help you not get shot. But let's move our Grey Knight and see if I've alerted the enemy. It's good. We're fine. The enemy hasn't been told where we are. Arthur can avoid having a heart attack.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paul. So a lot of this, if people have played other turn-based strategy games, you'll see a lot of the stuff on screen. It will be familiar to you, but there's some bits on here that are kind of unique to us. So we've just had a little ping there that indicating that we've detected forces
there,
on the Auspex, which is basically like their sort of motion tracker kind of thing. They know something's over there. A couple of things about the Grey Knights, and you're going to see in a moment. Right in the middle of the screen, right at the top in purple, there's a warp.
Oh, the warp surge indicator.
The warp surge indicator. Now you've got to keep a close eye on this. Early game, it's not too bad, but basically the Grey Knights they're practitioners. They use psychic abilities and stuff like that. Whenever you mess with the Imperium, or the warp, that meter goes up. And when it reaches 100%, some real funky stuff can happen. And none of it is good. Surprise, surprise, chat. None of it is good for your squad. So as you're using your psychic abilities, you've really got to pay attention, especially sort of late game or mid to late game. Paul, I'm talking specifically to you about when you're enhancing your squad, because overuse can really see you go from being in control of the situation to being quite the pickle.
And you've also only have a limited amount of your willpower as well, so you don't want to spam it all in one go. You want to try and be careful. If you've played sort of similar style games before, a lot of them focus very much on defensive gameplay. This game actually rewards you a little bit more with being aggressive, which is why Arthur is so terrified when he watches me play.
I'm a coward. I like to sit behind things and wait.
I'll show you. This might alert the enemy, so let's go ahead. Oh no. It's the enemy's turn now. You can see it's now risen by 15%, the bloom there. So we've still got time to avoid the nasty side effects. But let's move this is our interceptor. Let's get him over here and see if that tells us where the enemy are. Oh no.
Still
move
silence.
everyone a little closer.
No news is good news, Paul. That's what I like to say. If I could do a whole mission where I just ran around and nothing happened, my inner coward would be very happy.
There we go. And we have encountered some cultists. These are the crazy lunatics who think that worshipping the god of plague is a good idea.
What's the worst that could happen, Paul?
What is the worst that could happen other than your eyeballs melt through your face?
That's a pretty bad thing, actually. Yeah. So one thing to note here, and you'll notice with how this game sort of plays true to sort of 40k lore, if you're into your 40k, the armor that they wear is not just it's not just for you to look at. So one of our, I think it's the Justicar might be wearing Terminator armor. He will move slower, will not be able to just jump and leap as far as the other Space Marines, and you won't see him sort of rolling around the battlefield. Whereas the other Space Marines or Grey Knights in the powered armor are a little bit more nimble, and it does affect their movement as well, their movement speed. The other thing to notice here, like Paul said, this does sort of embrace aggressive gameplay, which is very much the Space Marine mantra. They don't really hide. Cover is effective, and you should use it, but they're not scared about taking a shot or two. Hence the reason they walk around in armor that's often painted in bright colours, because they don't care. Yeah. So what we got here, Paul? We're having a look at one of the cultists.
I'm showing you one of the cultists here. This is where you can see their sort of base stats. You can see what ability they've got. So this one has a thing called Overwatch, which they'll set up in a sort of stance to fire at anything that moves into their range of fire. And you've got Hunker Down, which is where they will try and increase their armour by sort of ducking down. Doesn't really help against the massive firepower of the Grey Knights, but it can be a thing. So I've moved my Purgator, and I'm going to shoot him with my gun.
So the one thing you're going to notice here, before we click on this, we'll let you get into the mission, but we don't want to keep stopping you. But one thing about this game is different. Space Marines are incredibly trained individuals. Yes. They are literally grown and trained and altered to be the ultimate fighting force, and the Grey Knight's almost the pinnacle of that. When they say they're going to hit something, they hit it.
Yes.
So there is no sort of, if there's no 95% chance to hit and then you miss, if the Grey Knight will tell you, yeah, I can hit that thing and I can do this much damage. So you will know as Force Commander exactly what the damage is you're going to do. So yeah, it's pay attention to what you've got and then look at how you're using your resources when you're spending them.
You do still have some element of random when it comes to critical damage. So this particular shot here, you can see this is just direct damage. But for certain attacks, for example, the Interceptor has, they can do critical damage with their falchion weapons. You will see, I believe it's a yellow bar bit, and that indicates the red is definitely what you'll take, whereas the yellow is what you might take. Now, you can see at the bottom here of this targeting screen, there's the option to do a Psychic Onslaught. This is one of the special psychic or Psyker powers of the Grey Knight Purgator, which is this particular weapon, which is the Psy Cannon. What that will do is he will essentially power it with Psycho Energy to do damage in a range. There's no one really near this one, so it's not really point wasting it, but it'll come into play later, I think. So let's just shoot this person now. He's annoyingly still alive, but it did hurt. And we now have our Interceptor. Let's show off his ability.
So you carry on playing, Paul, and I'll sort through things that I'm seeing. So as you noticed there, as Paul was moving around the Interceptor, you saw these little sort of faint blue lines that went out. So that will tell you what the Interceptor actually, when he stops, what will be in his line of sight, which is really useful when you're moving units around. So you don't move into a position and then realise, oh, actually, I can't fire at people. So Paul is now going to
teleport an Interceptor,
which is one of their unique abilities, right? So he's now he's teleported in.
The Interceptor can get the ability to teleport, which means I can now go up and I can stab one of these in the face. Let's pick on this one, and I'm not going to bother a 4-strike. I'm just going to go and stab him.
There we go. Well, that was enough. That was enough. He's very dead.
And the other advantage is because I killed him in melee, you'll notice I've got my willpower point back from my teleport.
Okay.
Because every time you kill someone in melee, it gets that bit back.
So again, there are layers upon layers of strategy when you're playing this game. So at first glance, it will seem like a turn-based, as you've always played before, but there are many, many layers of strategy to Chaosgate Daemonhunters. And as Paul plays through the first part of this mission, I'll talk about some of the other elements within the game. So one of the things we can't show you just because of time constraints of the show, you have the strategy where you're actually looking around the sector in the Baleful Edict, which is your ship. And there are planets within that sector. All of them are coming under sort of threat from the bloom. And it's your job to try and manage as best you can that bloom outbreak. And you can lose planets to the bloom. And if you lose too many planets to the bloom, obviously the game is over and the Imperium of Man is very much at risk. That's one level of strategy you have to manage. So what planets you're going to and when. And then obviously they have the risks available to them. So if you don't go to a planet and leave it, the threat level gets higher and higher. The enemies you face there are harder and harder. So that's one element. Then you have the Baleful Edict itself. So you have to obviously, not giving away too many plot spoilers, or the game has been out for a little while. You start the ship's in a bit of a bad way. It's been a bit banged up. So you have to sort of work out which areas of your ship you're going to repair first and foremost, and the benefits they will add to your squad. You might want to have an ability to heal your Grey Knights. You might have more weapons damage and stuff like that. All that stuff's in there. You as the Force Commander have to work out what you do and what you do first. And then, of course, there's your Grey Knights themselves, who, as they go through the game, get experience. And each one has a unique skill tree, and you can build your Grey Knights as you want in a particular build.
And there's lots of options you can choose as well. For example, the Apothecary, you could focus on healing people, or you could focus on causing bleed damage and make them into quite effective damage over time units. I'm just going to show off one of the grenades.
Okay, yeah.
Because you have grenade abilities that, as you can see here, you can see they have effect. But if I've angled this correctly, this may actually end up quite badly for the cultist. I may also have angled it badly, but we shall see.
He's very precariously placed, Paul. I see your tactic.
Oh, it didn't fall.
It didn't fall off.
So
it
annoying.
Didn't fall off. Unlucky. But one thing that leads on to, actually, as you finish this guy off, one thing about this game, which is also really unique to Chaosgate Daemonhunters, is the fact that the environment really does play an important part. So there's lots of stuff you'll see in the environments. And it's not all of it's just for show. The environments are beautifully realised from the 40k universe, but you will see there are elements within it that you can utilise for a tactical advantage. So you might see these grandiose pillars or statues that you just see that are littered around this sort of beautifully gothic universe. But you can actually run into these. As a Grey Knight, for those of you who don't know, they're about, I'd say, between 7 to 9 foot tall, depending on what armour they're in. They're basically tanks, and they can run into walls, doors. They don't really knock, they just push them down. If anyone's old enough to remember Count Duckula, they're basically Nanny. A really, really heavily armed Nanny from Count Duckula.
That is a reference that very few people in the chat will get.
Someone in chat will get it.
I've just used the apothecary there to heal one of my units, so you can see how you can do that in the game.
Cool. Nice. So there we go. So they can run into pillars and they can tip the pillars onto enemies. You can shoot braziers that will ignite the floor. You can, obviously there are the synonymous red barrel, which everyone knows is dangerous. No matter where you are, in what game or genre, a red barrel means bad.
And there's also oil patches on the ground that you can set on fire.
There's lots of things to go on within sort of the tactical mission mode of Chaos Gate Daemonhunters. So there we go. So Paul is now moving on, taking on some cultists. But what are these?
These are poxwalkers, and Vakir is going to talk to us about them in a second. Come on, Vakir.
They're literally modelled after me first thing in the morning, Paul.
Oh, I appear to still have the tutorial enabled. Never mind, ignore that tooltip. So yeah, these are essentially they're zombies. Basically, they're the dead reawakened. I believe they're actually servitors originally that have been sort of corrupted. So it's not. I don't think it's a case of actual reanimation. More the servitors are a wonderful bit of Warhammer lore that everyone should look up to see quite how nice the Imperium is.
Yeah, I mean, as I will reiterate, chat, that nothing is nice in 40k. There are no good guys. I don't think there's any one good guy. No one can say they're a good guy in 40k. Not one race, no one's good. Nobody is good. In fact, I'd argue that the Tyranids are probably the nicest because at least they do exactly.
They're up front.
They're up front with what they're doing. They're going to eat everything. So I align with that. I'm okay with that sort of mentality. All right, so we're going to take on some of these Poxwalkers. Are we going to use maybe one of the abilities for these guys?
I'm seeing if I can do that. Yeah, we're going to use the Psycannon Blast, which I pressed the wrong button for. And I think that's killed pretty much all of them. Yep,
yes,
all of them gone.
Nicely done.
And I believe that's the mission complete.
There we go. So let's just check my timings for you, Paul. We're running a bit
far too fast.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So there we go. So that's a mission. I'm probably talking over Brother Hector, but there's lots of stuff we haven't spoken about. There's so much in this game. Obviously, Andy Serkis provides the voice for
Grandmaster Varden
Kai. Obviously, there's if you know your Final Fantasy, there's one of the voice actors from there.
I believe her name is Robin Addison. She plays Yusholtha in Final Fantasy XIV. She was also Sarah in Dragon Age Inquisition.
So it's got there's some nice talent in here for the game. There's a fantastic story by Dan Abnett. So there's the whole thing is sort of steeped in 40k lore. It really is a fantastic game. Paul and I spent hours and hours and hours playing this when it first came out. So pleased to see it come to console and realised in such a wonderful way that it has been again.
And it means I can get achievement points.
Yes, for Paul and I who are filthy console scrubs, we need our achievements. So we're gonna play through this again on well, I'm playing on Xbox. Yeah, it's great to see this coming out. It will be February the 20th. You can pre-order it now. You'll get 15% discount on all those wonderful weapons from the Relics of Titan. So don't forget that. And also there is the Purify Edition where you will get to grips with the Castellan Garen Crow, who is a really cool unit. The game is fantastic. There's so much I want to talk about. I can't, short in time. Holly's waving at me. I need to do my hair and makeup before we do the next segment. Let's play the trailer again. Paul, thank you so much for joining me. I always love playing games with you because it makes my adrenaline go through the roof.